Hello everyone! The eggplant season has arrived. So today we're making a very delicious appetizer that keeps in the fridge for quite a long time. Well, it's not meant for long-term winter storage, but it'll definitely last a week in the fridge. It's very tasty, quick and simple. And we won't be frying anything, we'll do everything in the oven. That's definitely a plus. So let's get cooking. All right, let's take the eggplants. So look, how much do they weigh? Well, I don't know, I didn't weigh them. Just 2 medium-sized ones like these. If you take 3 eggplants, that's fine too. You just have a bit more eggplant, no big deal. Now, what do we do next? We slice the eggplants. Another thing, if they're too thick like this, you can cut them in half, but I'll do it this way. I'll slice them into rounds up to here, look, like this, and not too thick, about 1/2 centimeter or even less. See, I make them thin like this, just like that. First of all, they cook faster. Now I cut the eggplant and now into half rings. Why? Well, it's just too thick. We slice them thinner so they cook faster and we don't have to wait long. If you cut them into 1 centimeter slices, they'll take much longer to cook. Now we need to season them. So here's the thing. Some people think that if they just drizzle them with oil and put them on a baking sheet in the oven, they'll roast up nicely. Well, actually, that's true. But they won't really roast. They'll be more like stewed or steamed, something like that. Well, unless, of course, you put them in at 250 degrees or under the broiler. But I want them to have a bit of a golden crust. And only one thing will do that right, mayonnaise. Homemade or store, both doesn't matter. But without mayonnaise, you just won't get that kind of crust. It's like with chicken, you know, when you coat it with mayonnaise, it turns out beautiful and golden. And especially if you put on a good layer of mayonnaise, not just a little bit. Let's take the eggplants. You can make this recipe with eggplants. You can use eggplants, zucchini, courgettes, and things like that. It all turns out really tasty. Oh, you don't need to peel them. You don't need to squeeze them. They're not bitter anymore. You need to salt all of this. So sprinkle some salt and first mix everything together with the salt, just like that. And after you've salted it, you can add other spices. So we have paprika, freshly ground black pepper, a touch of chili powder, a little bit of red pepper flakes, and a generous amount of dried oregano. Pour all of that into this bowl and mix it up thoroughly. Now, carefully add about 2 large spoonfuls of creamy mayonnaise. I don't add too much. I don't want everything to be swimming in mayonnaise, just enough to coat each piece. Mix everything together with the mayonnaise, like this. Now lay the eggplants out here on the baking sheet. By this time, the oven should already be well preheated. I usually set it to 200 degrees and then slightly lower the temperature. Look, like this. If you fry all this in oil, it will also taste good. That's how it used to be done. But that's a lot of oil, it's greasy, and, well, you have to stand there and fry it. Or you can use a deep fryer or a multi-cooker so it doesn't smoke so much. But I really like doing it on a baking sheet. And now I even make zucchini, which I really love with garlic, on a baking sheet. Last year, I filmed those options for you, and I still use them to this day. So we bake it in a preheated oven at 200 degrees, put in the whole baking sheet, wait about 15 to 20 minutes, then lower the temperature to 175 and finish baking. If your oven burns too hot, you can cover it with foil, but I don't. 175 degrees, sometimes 180. Baking so, how do I do it? I see that they're golden and I take them out. I don't let them bake for a really long time. If I see that I like their color, I take them out. Well, they stay in for about half an hour for sure. Now it's time for the tomatoes. So, look, for this appetizer, I only use tomatoes, no bell peppers. You can use red, black, or yellow tomatoes, any kind you can find. Now we slice the tomatoes into rounds, like this. We lay the tomatoes out on a baking sheet. So I roasted the eggplant separately and the tomatoes separately. If you want to make everything on one tray at once, just use fewer ingredients, for example, 1 small eggplant. That way, you'll have enough to fit everything on one baking sheet in the oven. But as you can see, I used 2 eggplants, and that's just for 1 tray. So next, I'll be putting in the tomatoes. We sprinkle the tomatoes with salt like this. Not too much, just a little, because I'll be making a dressing later that uses soy sauce. This recipe also includes pickled onions. I'll cut them up now, marinate them, and show you how. But if you want the appetizer to last up to a week in the fridge, it should be stored without the onions. And the onions should be added right before serving when you're about to eat. You can slice and marinate them, or even skip marinating if you prefer. You can use white, salad, or red onions, any kind you like. With onions, this appetizer won't keep for 7 days. Well, a day, in the fridge, in the refrigerator, at most 2 days. Keep that in mind. Take the onion and slice it into thin quarter rings like this. Fluff up the onion a little bit like this. Now take 9% vinegar and add about, a teaspoon, just a little. Add a little water and let the onions marinate like this. I serve it with herbs, especially with parsley. I just chop the greens right before serving. It's really tasty with garlic. I'll show you in a moment. But if you find cilantro, it's so delicious mixed together with parsley. If you don't like cilantro, then just use parsley. But either way, it's very tasty. And also with herbs. No need to store it, just prepare it right before serving. Now take the garlic. You can use a whole head of garlic, or 2 or 3 cloves. It depends on how much you like garlic. So look, take the garlic and press it like this onto the cutting board. Start chopping the herbs right here together with the garlic and crush them together. So mix everything together with the garlic. So look, I add the herbs together with the onion when serving because it won't keep well with the herbs, they might spoil. But when serving, it's always delicious. You can mix the herbs directly with the onion later, once the onion is marinated, and just store it in the fridge under a lid somewhere, then add it when serving. Look, the aroma is incredible. If you use dill, you won't get that contrast of flavors. If you can find even just a small sprig of cilantro, that's great too. And you know what else people add? A few mint leaves, but without the stems. Take a few mint leaves, chop them up, and add them in. It will be very tasty. Take out the eggplants, and now put in the tomatoes. Now, take the fried eggplants and transfer them to a container. Let them cool down a bit. While the tomatoes are frying, the eggplants will have a chance to rest. The dressing for this particular kind of appetizer is incredibly easy to prepare. So take some high-quality sunflower oil, then add 9% vinegar, a splash of soy sauce, and 2 generously heaping teaspoons of golden honey. If your honey is crystallized, you need to melt it. Honey with crystals simply won't work effectively. Now, carefully and thoroughly mix it all together. Gather the beautifully roasted tomatoes like this and gently transfer them over to the waiting eggplants. All right, let's add the tomatoes here. The tomatoes turn out very juicy. You could add even more tomatoes, but then the eggplants won't be as noticeable. And I actually love eggplants maybe even more than tomatoes. Mix everything together like this and then take the dressing, mix the dressing once more and pour it over. Now, about the amount of dressing, well, I personally do it like this. I pour on as much of the dressing as I truly like, and then whatever is left over, I add the remaining portion of the dressing to it and then put it in the refrigerator with a secure lid. That way, it keeps much, much longer and stays fresh within the dressing itself. The dressing is honey-based, very tasty thanks to the vinegar. The combination of flavors turns out so well. I really, really like it. Since I'm serving it right away, I'll add the onions and the greens with garlic now. Just like that. I'll put the remaining fresh onions and leafy greens in the refrigerator to add to the dish later, because I'm definitely going to prepare more of these delicious eggplants. It's the perfect season right now. They go really well and this dressing looks great and tastes delicious. As an appetizer, this salad is simply wonderful. I'm giving the recipe for 1 serving. But let me tell you right away, this 1 serving is actually enough to eat for a whole day. So if you want it to last at least a week in the fridge and eat it throughout the week, make 3 or 4 servings at once, you'll have some to eat right away, and the rest will last you for the week. It turns out to be a very beautiful and tasty salad. I would say it's an appetizer that can be served both warm and chilled from the fridge. I love eggplants so much. I have a lot of appetizers like this that keep through the winter and are ready to eat right away. Take a look, I have tons of eggplant recipes on my channel. I recommend making this particular appetizer this summer. You know, these appetizers are just so delicious. And best of all, you don't have to fry everything in a pan with a lot of oil. The oven really saves the day. A little bit of mayonnaise, and you get incredibly tasty eggplants. Be sure to give it a try. It doesn't get soaked in oil and keeps well in the fridge. Try it and I assure you it won't be enough. Like, share this video and subscribe to my channel. Bye!